we're very lucky that, thanks to television and thanks to real life, I think we probably watched the three best games of the weekend.
Two of which were at the same venue.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, if you're looking for an in-depth review of London versus Castleford, you've come to the wrong podcast, I'm afraid, because we didn't watch it.
No, we were too busy watching Wigan and Saints.
Shall we start with the women's game, seeing as that was the first of the three games we've watched? Wigan 12, St Helens 16. One would assume that if Wigan hadn't got off to as slow a start as they did for whatever reason, they might have won. They might have won that game. And the league table now has 4 teams all on 12 points.
I think the two things that came out of it was, firstly, Wigan now are rightly being seen to join the Big Four. And that's on their defensive ability. Clearly their handling errors they made coming out of their own area ultimately cost them. But the desire to defend, which is something that Dennis Betts talks about when he took the job, with a very young average age squad, it's starting to reap its rewards. And if you're talking about defence, then you have to mention Jodie Cunningham's tackle, which, had Wigan scored, they would probably have just held on and won that game. It was a game-turning tackle, and she'd started the game at loose forward, dropped into the full-back role. Was it Anna Davis broke, who's got a fantastic scoring record this season?
15 tries, it says here in the paper.
And Cunningham's tackle was absolutely exemplary, because there was about 8 minutes to go, I think, and Wigan would have gone ahead, and you would have thought, with the way that the game had gone up till then, there weren't going to be a lot more points in the match. So, yeah, absolutely sensational. Great game, thoroughly enjoyed it. Kicked off at 5:30 as a lot of the women's games do, but by the time it was getting towards the end, which was 7:15, a lot of the crowd for the men's game was in, and they really got into it. It was brilliant.
And as we say, that's always how it's going to work. You're going to get people in if they accidentally watch it, because if you ask people to go at a separate time, they have to make a commitment to do that. If they turn up and see the end of a game, they might come again. You don't know. Who's going to be a woman of steel this year? I mean, we're only 8 games into the season, but that is halfway, isn't it? Almost, I think.
Yes, it'll
There's
be
no loop fixes
14 games.
I've got to remember, because as we'll come on to, there's different rules in different competitions, but we've got York playing Wigan this weekend. So that's another test for Wigan.
That'll be a real test, yeah.
Away from home.
Yeah.
Jodie Cunningham, Faye Gaskin, could throw in any other number of... I mean, the thing is, this year, I've seen more of Leeds and St Helens because they play each other so many times. York have kind of gone slightly under the radar. They've had their injury issues. They came back and won 62-0 this week. Obviously, Tara Jane Stanley coming back has been crucial for them in the last few weeks. But Emma Kershaw...
And Megan Pakulis
scored a try this weekend as well. Emma Kershaw, 13 tries this year, formerly of Wakefield, so obviously keep an eye on how she's doing. But York on 12 points, Saints on 12 points. They've still got to play each other at some point. Leeds beating... where are they? Warrington, 50 points to 4. There they are. And
4 tries for Caitlin Beavers.
There you go, off the telly. And as we mentioned, Barrow winning away at Huddersfield 26-14.
That was the other really enjoyable thing about the Wigan doubleheader, was having Caitlin Beavers talking about both of those games. I thought she was really eloquent, a new voice, but gave a real fresh perspective and enhanced the viewing experience, I thought.
And Courtney Winfield Hill next to Mark. They're a great partnership, those
brilliant.
Two. It's funny because obviously when you look back at Radio Yorkshire, you think the partnership everyone remembers is Mark and Scoey. But I always thought Scoey and Craig Murdoch were better together than those two because they just had a chemistry. Yeah. Not that Mark and Scoey didn't, but it was just a different. Their call of the £1 million game. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. You can find it on our YouTube channel. So this weekend, as well as York Wigan, it's Saints Warrington, Barrow Leeds, and Huddersfield Featherstone, which is a big game at the bottom because obviously Huddersfield have only won 2 games, but Featherstone won 0. So you would expect Huddersfield to win and go above Barrow this week, but obviously Featherstone will be looking to.
And Zoe Hornby's retired.
Yes, I mean, step back.
Stood down.
You can't retire at 25.
No, and it's going to work. I mean, she's from the northeast, and there were 3 who shared a car to come to Leeds initially, and I think she was the last woman standing, and it's a tough call to, even if you're being paid expenses, to come down 2 or 3 times a week from Newcastle. She's got a job with the Falcons Foundation. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I reckon Rugby Union are after her.
It's not going well for, because we seem to pick Leeds forwards as our favourite players, and it's not going well for us at the minute, because they either retire or they... Oh dear. That's where Leeds probably need something at the minute, and hopefully Grace Field's back for them soon from injury, but be on the lookout for forwards, I think. Called her Mini Danica. I think I was the only person who called her that. I'd never called it to her face, obviously.
Or Danicus.
Oh, well, she won't be listening. She'll be out somewhere. She always is.
There'll be a free tea somewhere.
There will be. Why do we made her? People think I mean that when I say...
Not even a morsel from the table.
Wigan then beat St Helens 16-12 in the men's game, which was also good.
It was a fabulous game.
20,150.
Really
the atmosphere was great.
It was.
And the word, I don't like the word brave, because people talk, the footballers were brave. No, it's firemen, soldiers, fire people, whatever. But whatever the word is I'm looking for, he dropped your man. He went there, Paul Wellens. He dropped his star player who's off to the NRL. I think has been underperforming.
The great thing was that we saw some real young talent on both sides that really impressed, and you just think, sometimes we wonder where the game is going to find its next superstars. Harry Robertson, outstanding on debut for St Helens. So
not be known forever, Harry Robinson. That's what we all call him now.
Yeah, Robertson. And Zach Eckersley,
he's played like 5 games. He's won all the trophies.
Game or something, including scoring in the Challenge Cup final, and absolute again the winning try, but so composed at the back, and he's not even a full-back. But yeah, loads of young players playing who all enhanced their reputations in a game that we could be justifiably proud of representing the sport. It had everything, and even access from the Wigan coaching staff for Sky. What did we learn?
The problem with that is Matt Peatley's not one of these. I mean, he might be behind the scenes, we don't know. But when he's on the telly at the top of that, I tell you what, that gantry brings back terrible memories. 2004, the famous game where Wakefield were robbed in the playoffs, obviously.
Yes, read about it in Gareth Ellis's book.
I was doing reports for Ridings FM at the time, and we set off from Wakefield, got stuck in traffic, got to Wigan about, I'm going to say 10 to 8 because it sounds more dramatic. Got to the stadium, had to get up to the top of the gantry by 8 o'clock because that's where the radio points were, and I was doing a report into the news at 8, and if I wasn't there, I don't think anyone was at the studio. It was set up specifically for me to go out on it. Managed to get signed in just on time thanks to someone from 5 Live helping me, and then Wakefield were robbed. So every time they cut to John Wells, I'm going, getting shivers up my back. But
I just thought when they said we're going to have access to the team, that it would be the team that would be talking, not John Wells interpreting what the team was saying. And I'm sure there was insight there that perhaps we don't normally get. But had Matt Peat agreed to answer a question every 10 minutes, then
he's not. But he doesn't throw teacups, does
no.
he? He's a thoughtful person.
Yeah,
he's not,
let's look at a clip and analyse it, and then we'll make a decision.
He's not going to. I think John Wells said at one point he's very calm. I think, yeah, he's always calm. I've seen him on the telly before. Well,
I wouldn't argue with Thomas Lulu.
Well, no. Is he the bad cop, do you think, of the pet?
He looks like the Hood from
not like how
from Thunderbird.
Steve-O used to look like Dan Dare, the Mekon from Dan Dare.
Ask your grandparents' kids. The Hood.
But was it a gimmick? Yeah. Did it work? I don't know. It depends if you like that kind of thing. I don't think it.
It gave us a bit more insight, but yeah, fine. Good.
If Dennis Betts' team talk had been his actual team talk rather than go out and play well girls kind of thing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's just
again, it just shows that we
go tackle her.
We're a sport that does have almost unlimited access, and that should be one of our selling points.
Well, it probably works after the event rather than during the event because you can make your exciting in-house documentaries, which the one is being made about Wigan, isn't it? And this isn't the same kind. And York are doing their thing, and it's not the same kind of thing. It's nice. You can't do it every week because again, everyone will get bored of it.
But it gives you a layer of understanding that perhaps we don't normally get.
We'll see what the people thought about that. You know, there'll probably be letters in the paper next week about it. But it was a great game. It was exciting. Why can't I remember the name of the guy they dropped?
Lewis Dodd.
Lewis Dodd. He's going to the NRL, and the fans were saying he's given up. He don't want to play anymore. They dropped him. They played well without him. Now, does he get back in the team this week? Maybe I should get on the press conference tomorrow and ask Paul Wells. I'll dress smart.
Why don't you? Big game for St Helens because having lost 3, Warrington.
Saints in crisis.
Big game. No, it's just a big game, isn't it? If they have, everybody wants to finish in the top 2, you would assume even at this stage that Wigan will have one of those spots. So I'm not sure that Saints can really afford to lose to Warrington. If they're going to usurp them, they would then be 4 points behind if they didn't win. So
let's make Kevin wait for the Warrington chat and talk about the third game of the week we saw, which was great, which was in the Wheelchair Super League on Saturday afternoon at the Edge. Free entertainment in Leeds.
We're fans anyway, but it don't get much better than that.
Leeds 44, London Roosters 40. Leeds led only on the hooter.
On the last play of the game.
Last play of the game. Tom Halliwell, very much like he's trying the World Cup final.
Set up by Nathan Collins, very much like he's trying the World Cup final.
And there it was. What a game. Entertainment all the way.
London missed probably more goal kicks than they would have liked, which ultimately cost them. Lewis King of London scored the first 5 tries that his team scored, 6 in all.
The wheel of steel.
It was sensational.
Bit of
very contrasting styles, bit of niggle.
Yeah, and as James Simpson mentioned afterwards, maybe the physicality was a bit too much, and which is the... Remember at the start of the season when the players were getting upset about being sent off and Rugby League was in an existential crisis, and we seem to have forgotten about that now because players aren't getting sent off as much.
Unless it's Andre Savelio.
And the Players' Union, no one cares about that anymore because players aren't getting fined and the existential crisis has gone. It's almost like every season where something happens at the start, it kind of rolls back a bit and then we all forget. We'll see what happens next year. But Wheelchair Rugby League does have that existential crisis because... France, although they wheelchair each other in the head there, so you know.
And they have changed their coach and manager.
So there is that, but as James rightly points out, it's okay for me watching from the silence. Oh, these people bashing each other and stuff, but there are people out there who genuinely have disabilities and things with them that would be exasperated by being bashed and knocked over and falling out of your chair every 5 minutes. So it's a tricky one.
And also, London had mastered, as is their right to do so, slowing the play of the ball. It's the first time I've really seen it in... I think Wigan tried to do it a little bit against Catalan in the cup final. They felt that if they could slow Catalan's natural desire to take the ball in quick and slip out a pass, then they would, they'd try and do that. And you've got to be incredibly fit to do it for 80 minutes, and they couldn't. And I think London decided that they were going to take every ounce of time out of the game that they could, whilst ever they could, to break up the spontaneity of Leeds, and it very nearly worked for them. It was fascinating to watch.
4 wins from 4.
Very high quality.
This is the thing, it's when you watch it, especially we were stood up on the balcony, so you've got a higher view than if you're pitch side, but...
We were almost the drone.
Yeah. We were the spider cam of things. Can we afford a spider cam? Can we get one?
I do think, and we both said it, and I think I tweeted about it when I got home because I was still imbued with what we'd watched, that should have been online somewhere.
And again, it's what is our league? What is everything? I know there were 2 Super League games on at the same time, which doesn't help, but there's always going to be clashes now.
Somebody should have put that on. And word would have got round that something a little bit special was happening, and if you'd wanted to tune in, you could have done. I don't think I've ever seen a more low-key Hull derby in terms of profile.
Yeah,
it's like even Sky, who can choose,
wasn't there one of their games?
It's like, well, we'll get there 5 minutes before kick-off, and Hull KR are going to win, and Hull KR have won, and there was a bit of niggle and ball control during the game, controversy, but. In terms of profile, that's probably the lowest Hull derby for quite a while. and neutral fans may have tuned into a wheelchair game to see that incredible finale.
I know clubs have finite resource, but I almost think this is where, if the RFL don't have the money to do it, clubs might have to do it themselves. And you don't always have to, you know, I got started in broadcasting doing work experience, which is in effect working for nothing.
Yeah.
Which is not right, but it's how, unfortunately in this business, it is how it is.
In every business, to be honest.
So I'm sure there are people out there who would
put it on their CV.
Yeah.
To start their career rolling.
I mean, you have to do it properly, but
well, even the
I'll just team up with universities or colleges.
Well,
I know we're in summer now, so it's the wrong time.
The under-19s games from Serbia didn't have commentary.
No,
but it didn't matter. There's an open mic. You could hear the crowd cheering and conversing, and you know, and you got good pictures. That's all you need.
Because that
would have sold itself.
It's a genuine, and the same goes for the women's games as well that aren't being broadcast on TV or on the Sportsman or whatever. The opportunity is there for clubs to do something with things which could be bigger in the future and could get more people involved in our sport.
Yeah.
And
which at the moment the men's running game is not going to do until you take Wigan and Warrington to Vegas.
We've seen with the number of people, I think it might have been Jodie Cunningham this week who posted something on Instagram or whatever about the number of messages she gets from parents and significant others of kids who've found rugby league and found these people as their new heroes, not just Jodie but the other players in the game. And the same goes here.
Absolutely.
Because we've got to look for new people to watch. We're very lucky as a sport that we have not just one, version's the wrong word, but we haven't just got the men, we've got the women, we've got wheelchair rugby, we've got PDRL, we've got LDRL, we've got all these things which can be used as a force for good. And
you have to sell the arse off them, to coin a marketing phrase I just made up.
People can't have forgotten the World Cup. It was only a couple of years ago, but have we lost that momentum? Well,
yes.
Probably, but we can get it back, or we can get, there were a fair few people there on Saturday. It wasn't just us.
And the noise levels were high, and the finale, that obviously most of the people there were supporting the home team, was sensational.
4 wins from 4.
4 wins from 4.
Could win another league leader shield. The challenge now is to win a grand final.
Well, the other result was interesting of the weekend.
38-all between Halifax and Hull. Hull are a side who are on the up, it seems.
Yep, first point of the season. But you wouldn't have expected them to get it at Halifax.
Carson says there is a YouTube channel that broadcasts West Yorkshire junior and community games for $2.99 a month with only an open mic. Give ample coverage for these clubs and is cheap. Clubs can do it for free.
Yeah.
Clubs can afford to spend however much it is on getting someone there to put a camera in the right
think
place.
The biggest game of the weekend coming up is probably the League One clash between Oldham and Keighley, because there's so much riding on it outside of what is League One going to be next year. You know, if you don't get out this year, are you ever going to get out? Two very ambitious clubs, and the winner is going to take a huge step forward. And I know Oldham will probably be streaming it on Roughhead TV or whatever, but that is a game that the governing body should be selling to its widest possible audience.
And York Wigan as well. It's another game where there's intrigue there. And where can we watch it? Where can we see it? We keep saying this every week. If I had the wherewithal, I would offer my services, but I don't. I don't have the equipment. I don't have the ability, so I'm not going to turn up with my bloody laptop and a webcam to do it, because it wouldn't do it justice. But the people are out there. We just need to get the right people doing things. So many times we've wasted opportunities by wasting on things that don't have an upside. We're the best way in the world, and it's great for Carson who can watch it and for people who want to pay $2.99, but that's very much narrowcasting.
Yep.
My nephew plays rugby league at age group level, but I'm not interested in watching any other team play the other team. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
You want to watch the elites wherever possible, or the semi-professional.
London streamed their games with. You saw the camera on Saturday, the green thing, which follows the player. I don't know how it works, but it's automated. It's back to AI and robots again, Now they put their games on YouTube. It's not the easiest thing to follow because it is further back. It's for coaches really, but at least they're out there and you can kind of keep an eye on what's going on. There's no graphics and so on and so forth. But it's something we need to do in this world where we are partnered with IMG, who we use for their streaming services. Not saying they should be filming every game or whatever, but we can tap into their knowledge and how we can do things better. And then, hey, because IMG are the boogeymen.
If you can show USA Young Hawks against Scotland at 10:30 in the morning, you should be able to show Leeds and London Roosters in the Wheelchair Super League, the clue being the words Super League.